Romans chapter 5. Romans chapter 5, and we're going to pick this up at verse 12, brother. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world.
So you see one man sin entered into the world by Adam. And we saw that, we read that, we bear witness to that today. Go ahead.
And death by sin.
And death came by that sin. And we saw that too as well. And this Bible is just that easy, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned.
Because all came through Adam and Eve. Eve was the mother of all living. So that means everybody behind that person had death upon them. They had sin upon them. And we're going to see that Jesus came to deliver us of that. Let's go to verse 18. Go ahead.
Therefore, as by the offense of one judgment came upon all men to condemnation.
So by the offense of one person, what Adam did, condemnation came on, death came on everybody. Go ahead.
Even so, by the righteousness of one, the free gift came upon all men unto justification of life.
Now understand something. When he say a free gift came to all men, that means that now all men can live forever. But we're going to find out that you got to do something to get hold of this forever. You can't just, oh, Jesus died, now I get to live forever. No, it don't work like that, bro. You know, because at the same time, what's the lake of fire for? Who is it for? Yeah, Jesus died for all men because the sentence that was put on man was death. Because see, when Adam and Eve was in the Garden of Eden, eternal life was there. Wasn't no death. If they had never ate from that tree, wasn't no death even been on the scene, brothers and sisters. So when death came on the scene, now Jesus came, and that gave us an opportunity for eternal life. But go ahead and read it.
For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners.
That's right.
So by the obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Moreover, the law entered.
What law? The law that when you sin, you're going to die. So moreover, this law entered, go ahead,
that the offense might abound.
Right.
But where sin abounded, grace did much more abound.
So it said basically this law came and sin just took all over. But then it said, but where obedience came, then righteousness took over even greater. You know what Jesus did, it was an even greater work. Go ahead though.
That as sin has reigned unto death, even so might grace reign through righteousness unto eternal life by Jesus Christ our Lord.
But it said, now even so might grace reign through righteousness. See, that grace don't just come like, oh, I don't got to, through wickedness. It didn't say through wickedness, bro. It said through righteousness. So I mean, you still got something to do about it. Yeah, this grace came for us. Thank God for this grace. Now we ain't going to just stay in the dirt. Because that's what it said. It said, from dust thou art, and to dust thou shalt return. Let's go take a look at this devil real quick. John chapter 19. John chapter 19. John chapter 19, and we're going to pick this up at verse 16.
Oftentimes when proving the Bible, we use other outside sources so that we can get a better understanding of the scriptures. Books like dictionaries and concordances. And also we use other reference historical material to validate what we read in the scriptures. Now we don't use the scriptures to validate history, but we do oftentimes use history to validate the scriptures. Now in this class we're discussing the death of Jesus. One of the things that I thought it might be helpful is if we take a look at the history of crucifixion. So at this particular time, what I plan to do is I plan to read from Reader's Digest, Illustrated Dictionary of Bible Life and Times. Now Reader's Digest puts out quite a bit of very good historical information. And what we're going to look at here is crucifixion. We're looking at page 92, crucifixion. Crucifixion was the most painful and humiliating form of capital punishment. Originally, it was considered too barbarous to be inflicted on anyone other than enemies of the state. In the Roman Empire, crucifixion was also used for slaves and criminals of the lowest classes. In the rare instance that it was used for a citizen, Caesar had to give a direct order. By the time of Jesus' death, crucifixion was used regularly to deter criminal activities. Crucifixion originally meant tying a dead body to a stake or, in the case of the Assyrians, executing someone by implementing the person on a stake. According to Israelite law, the corpse of an executed criminal tied onto the trees had to be removed before sundown. In Jesus' time, the victim was first scourged until he bled. This cruel practice had a humane side, since it sped up dying process. Then the prisoner carried the crossbeam to the execution site, where it was affixed to a pole already in place. Crosses could be in the shape of a T or an X. A wooden peg on the cross supported the weight of the body, and the victim was tied or nailed to the cross at the wrist and feet. Although tying the victim seemed less barbaric, it actually prolonged the agonizing suffering, which could last for 2 or 3 days. Death finally came from starvation, dehydration, and the loss of circulation. Breaking the victim's legs caused the body to sag, leading to a quick death by suffocation. The corpse was sometimes left hanging for days as a grim warning to other criminals. Now, we just took a look at, again, Reader's Digest, Illustrated Dictionary of Bible Lives and Times. Many of you who are viewing this information, this class that we put out here on YouTube and that we put on the internet, have access also to a computer. A site as simple as Wikipedia has information on the history of the crucifixion. Brothers and sisters, all I'm trying to do here is help you understand the Bible in a clearer, plainer way, so that as you read the Bible, you'll be able to see what you need to do, what we need to do to obtain our salvation. And now, back to the class. Thank you.
We're going to take a look at this crucifixion. Jesus, his death. Yes, he did die, brothers and sisters, and we're going to read about it right here. Go ahead.
Then delivered him, therefore, unto them to be crucified. And they took Jesus and led him away. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him and 2 others with him on either side, one and Jesus in the midst.
Go ahead.
And Pilate wrote a title and put on the cross. And the writing was Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews.
That's the truth, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
This title then read many other Jews, for the place where Jesus was crucified was nigh to the city, and it was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin.
It was in a few languages too. Go ahead.
Then said the chief priest of the Jews to Pilate, write not the King of the Jews, but that he said, I am King of the Jews.
See, they were trying to reject Christ. We talking about the Israelites was. But he is King of the Jews. And they was like, no, right. They say, I am King of the Jews. No, this was the king that you killed. But go ahead.
Pilate answered, what I have written, I have written.
Sound like a man in charge. Go ahead.
Then the soldiers, when they crucified Jesus, took his garment and made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also his coat. Now the coat was without seam, woven from the top throughout. They said therefore among themselves, let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, who it shall be, that the scripture might be fulfilled, which saith, they parted my raiment among them, and for my vesture they did cast lots. These things, therefore, the soldiers did. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother, and the disciple standing by, whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then said he to the disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home.
Go ahead.
After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now there was a set of vessel full of vinegar, and they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost.
All right, let's go on over to